100 years ago, in the summer of 1961, when I was 20, I applied, with the help of the seminary, to be head counselor at a camp connected with a Catholic boarding school. This school only took kids in the fall who had attended the camp during the summer. The reason for this was not disguised. The summer camp was staffed by 8 nuns and 4 counselors. Part of their task was to observe the kids and sort out the saints from the sinners. The theory was that the best way to spot a sociopath was to watch him play baseball. When I talked to the head sister, she was delighted. Not only did I have 5 summers of counseling experience, but in the fall, I would start studying theology. She said it was the happiest day of her life. Before the summer was over, she was to regret that remark. Now, no camp season really starts until there's been a disaster. The campers arrived on Sunday night. On Monday morning, someone was missing his hunting knife. By afternoon, a baseball glove was nowhere to be found. By canteen time at 9, one of the campers reported losing $5. And you did not have to have light years of experience to know that we had a thief. Now, it's difficult to know what makes kids 11 and 12-year-olds steal, especially if they do not really need what they're stealing. But one thing is for sure, they're really bad at it. So by Tuesday afternoon, we had the culprit. Since I was the head counselor, I sat down with him. "Why did you do it?" I asked. "I didn't do it." "Well, we found the knife and the glove in your locker. Why did you do it?" "I didn't do it." Look it, this is only the second day of camp. We're going to forget this ever happened. No one knows you took the stuff. I'm going to return the knife and the glove. We're going to forget about the $5 and start over. We're going to wipe the slate clean and begin again. Okay? I didn't do it. This kid was not afraid of me in the least, and all the time I talked to him, there was absolutely no expression on his face. There was no light in this kid's eyes at all. On Wednesday afternoon, in a rowboat, he stuck a fishhook in another kid's leg, and there we were again, me and the kid with no light in his eyes. "Why did you do it?" "I didn't do it." "Other kids saw you do it." "I didn't do it." "Stay here." And I went to see the head sister, the one who was so happy to have me. "Sister, we have a real problem on our hands. Before you tell me about it, Mr. Shea," she was very formal, "I have a few problems I would like to discuss with you." "About the record?" "Oh, yes, the record." For you see, I had been at many camps, but this was the most Catholic camp of them all. Lights went out every night at 10 o'clock, and to waft the little darlings into dreamland, they played Schubert's Ave Maria over the loudspeaker. I thought this was a bit much. So on the second night of camp, I substituted a popular camp parody of the time by Alan Sherman, "Hello Mother, Hello Father, Here I Am at Camp Granada." The head sister wanted to know if perhaps I had acted rashly and introduced radical innovations into the life of the camp before I had sufficiently understood its spirit. I said this was a possibility and that from now on I would consult with her. "But," I forged on, "we have a real problem. This kid is a flaming sociopath. Also about the keys." The head sister was still in control. "Oh, yes, the keys." For you see, the head sister kept the keys to the truck and the car on her person at all times. And if you wanted to go anywhere, you had to find her and beg for the keys. And she would say, "I hope this isn't for beer, Mr. Shea," and I'd have to lie. Well, on the second day of camp, I wanted the keys. Now, the sisters lived in a semi-cloistered area above the refectory, which had an old rickety staircase leading up to it. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, and I yelled up, "Sister, I need the keys. I'll be right down, Mr. Shea." "That's okay, sister. I'll come up and get them." "Don't you come up here, Mr. Shea." "I'm coming, sister." And then I stood at the bottom of the stairs and pounded my feet, producing the effect of climbing the stairs. "Mr. Shea, don't you dare come up here." And then she arrived at the top of the stairs, habit somewhat askew, and car keys in her hand, and she saw that I had not moved from the bottom step. "You're a very cruel young man, Mr. Shea, a very cruel young man." I apologized for baiting her with the keys. "But sister, we have a kid who steals stuff and hurts kids. We have to get rid of him. If the other kids don't kill him, I'm going to." She said it was impossible to send him home. His parents had dropped him off and then taken off for vacation. They were going to return in 2 weeks to pick him up. She had the telephone number of an aunt in case of emergency, but she did not feel right in sending the kid home to the aunt. "So," she concluded, "we'll give him to Sister Ruth Ann." Sister Fix-It? That's what the kids called Sister Ruth Ann. She was a retired nun whose only concession to old age and arthritis was a pair of red gym shoes, which peeked out from under her habit as she shuffled along. Her father had been a janitor, the rumor mill had it, and she could repair anything. That's what she did. She went around the camp, painting, planting, and plumbing. I did not think it was a good idea to give the kid with no light in his eyes to the old nun, but I had just lost twice, so I said, "Okay." The next morning at 7, Sister Fix-It shook me awake. "Which one?" "Top of the last bunk." She walked down to the end of the cabin. I could hear her say, "Wake up. Come. I need you." And then it started. We would be playing baseball, and you'd look up, and out past center field would be the old nun and the kid planting something in the earth. We would be swimming, and you would look over and see the old nun and the kid painting the side of the chapel. We would be in eating, and you would look out on the pier, and there would be the old nun and the kid having lunch, 2 bologna sandwiches and 2 orange crush. Wherever you saw the old nun, you saw the kid. And wherever you saw the kid, you saw the old nun. The 2 weeks passed, and the parents returned. They parked their car at the back and were walking up to the refectory where the head sister saw everybody. The head sister suddenly appeared on the porch of the refectory, and she saw me sitting on the hill watching the parents. "Mr. Shea, come down here." "Yes, sister." All 4 of us, 2 parents, 1 head sister, and 1 counselor, sat down together. The parents asked what parents have asked since the dawn of time. "How is our son doing?" The head sister launched in. "You lied to us. You told us this boy was doing all right. He is not doing all right. He has stolen other boys' property and viciously hurt 1 boy. Your son is very troubled." The mother began to cry, and the father began to plead. "We know. He's been arrested for stealing, and he's been put back a grade in school. But we thought if we could get him into the academy, he might straighten out." "Well," said the head sister, "it's Sister Ruth Ann's opinion that we should keep the boy another 2 weeks. She looked over and smiled at me, and in one fell swoop got back at me for both the record and the keys. But he will not be playing with the other campers. He'll be working around the camp with Sister." "Anything," the father sighed. Now, this was a clean cup camp. 2 weeks of campers were dumped, and another whole new batch brought in. The new ones didn't know the history of the kid with no light in his eyes. They asked me, "Who's the kid that hangs around with the old nun with the gym shoes? Think he wants to play baseball?" "Ask him," I said. They asked him. He looked at the old nun, and she said, "You go play at baseball, and when you are done, you come back here. We will hoe in the garden." We'd be going out to go horseback riding. The old nun and the kid would be reconstructing the ark, which was at the entrance of the camp. The kids would yell from the back of the truck, "Want to go horseback riding?" He'd look at the nun, And she would say, "You go play at horseback riding, and when you are done, you come back here. We'll paint the bench down by the lake." We'd be having swimming races, and he would be standing there, watching with those lightless eyes. "Want to swim?" He'd look at the old nun. "You go now and play at swimming, and when you are done, you come back here. We have much to do." And so it went for the second 2 weeks. She let him out, reeled him in. She let him out and reeled him in. And at the end of 2 weeks, the kid was integrated into the life of the camp. His parents came back for the second time. They parked in the back and made their way toward the refectory. From the hill, I watched them. The head sister didn't call me in, so I don't know what happened. After about a half hour, the parents came out and went back and waited by the side of their car. I think I saw them at the same time the parents did. The old nun with gym shoes and the kid with no light in his eyes were coming up the path that led down to the lake. Even at 12, he was taller than she was. She had her arm around his waist and a glow on her face, like a woman who had found a coin she had long looked for. And with each step, she pulled him against her. She was hip-hugging him as they walked toward his waiting parents, and he let her do it.